Welcome to Rebuilding Trust Fast Track Masterclass. Guys, I'm really excited for today because this is a hot topic. This is something that we've all been affected by. This is something that in one way or another that we're all struggling with a little bit, and most of us more so than others. It just really depends also where you are at in your life at this time. And of course, also by certain things that takes place, which of course all determines how we show up in our reality, how we respond to it, and what we do with it. So trust is a big thing. This is a big topic for today, but it doesn't mean that we're going to get amazing results for our fast track class. For those of you guys who are busy, we're going to continue to invest in you as well. Make sure that you stay on track to living your absolute greatest life. And I love to host these mini workshops and mini master classes because we tackle so much information, but at the same time, we also allow ourselves to grow despite our busy schedules. Life has changed, things are different. So we're going to be approaching things differently, but it doesn't mean that we have to stop learning. For those who don't know me, what I'm known for is this big book, Metaphysical Anatomy. It's a psychosomatic stress of 600, 700 elements. And then, of course, I wrote Psychosomatics for Children, which is the same as this, but it's the version for children. So it's a psychosomatics for kids. So you can see that they're both pretty big, 10 years, 5 years. So yeah, you can find all of that on Amazon and also matchildren.com. So guys, let's rock and roll. So trust. The reason why you're here with me today is because clearly this topic resonated with you in one way. Trust is a fundamental part of our lives. And I can absolutely attest to that as well. You know, it's funny because sometimes, because I love to get readings from, psychics and mediums, and it's something that I love to do myself as well. I mean, that's how I channeled these books. It's not just all me. I absolutely had divine support, and my guides were very busy. I put them to work. And every time when I would go, for example, to talk to someone, and they would go, Evette, it's interesting. I don't know you, but one of your greatest life purposes in this life is to trust. It's funny because in one way that can also be a really easy way to say, that's what your life purpose is, that you need to master, because this is actually not just something that's very unique to me. This is something that most people struggle with. It really depends on your childhood. It depends even right up to your womb stages. Already there, your trust, your sensory system that signals and searches for safety and security, that can perhaps be disrupted. They can perhaps be trauma. They can perhaps be stress. These are all points where this can be disrupted already. And then we, of course, now also have our ancestral predispositions. So if there, for example, was, let's say, war trauma, there was massive, massive war trauma in your ancestry. And of course, now that means there's going to be betrayal. There's going to be, who can I trust? Who can I not trust? The enemy is among us. So that means there's already now, on top of the fact that our biological makeup is hardwired to not trust. It's hardwired to not trust. And it's a safety coping mechanism. We're built to be suspicious of everything. We're actually built to have quite a negative view on life, and to be pessimistic, and to always be I don't know. But with the frontal cortex is now becoming more and more advanced and intelligent, now we start to raise above this old pattern and this old cycle of always mistrusting. However, it's not always that easy, especially if you've had trauma in your lifetime that can, for example, say, reinforce ancestral trauma associated with lack of trust. That's a lot what this book is about. Even if you're not a child, or even if you don't have children, this book will still be fantastic to help you to understand where a lot of your patterns in your childhood started and where they're coming from. This book is the patternings that happens after the fact, during childhood, and then as you progress forward in your life as an adult. This is kind of the starting point. And so when we look at that layering in of trust, Because normally when you look at a child, trust is, there's a very innocent approach to it, because a child hasn't had a lot of betrayals or a lot of trauma or a lot of stress, given that he or she now maybe had a relatively average, normal, okay upbringing, maybe up until the age of 2 or 3. Because when we are at the age of, from 0 to the age of 3, we are running on our instinctive responses. The limbic system, the hippocampus, the emotional brain is still starting to develop. That is now when it starts to really fully become more developed. And then after the age of 3, now it becomes more, it's almost like it levels up to that emotional phase and level. And then frontal cortex and also comes into play a lot more. So that means, guys, that means that your entire first 3 years of your life is literally hard-coded and programmed based on what makes you feel safe and what makes you not feel safe. That's why, for example, like if you have an object and you lose it, it's like a life or death situation. Like there's no real hardwired programming associated in prior memories in your lifetime to connect to of, oh no, it's okay. There's memories of this thing is not lost in space. It maybe just dropped on the floor and now I can't see it. But that for a child is massive. Just the other day, my daughter was 18 months and I saw she had her bottle, and we have this veranda and it rolled off the veranda underneath the fence that we have to protect, her, of course, not from running off the veranda, but it was just big enough to roll under the veranda and fell onto the floor. And her reaction was unbelievable. I've never seen her react like that. Like it was a screaming fit, and she was like, like this with her hands and shaking, like it was, I lost my bottle and that's it. It's now gone. I'll never see it again. She didn't even go to think to look, where is it? Until I said to her, it's still there, go see. And then when she saw it, now we're okay. So this is a small example, silly, but really small example of how to trust that not everything is going to just be like final. That the reason also where this trust is coming from is to find reinforcement of, oh no, it's going to be okay. Oh, this person will show up for me. Oh, mom and dad will protect me when I need them. Oh, there will be someone to save me when something goes wrong. Oh, there is someone that I can go to when there is a problem. Because children are super hypersensitive to competent parenting. They know which parent they can trust and which one is maybe a little bit more ditzy or maybe a little bit more goofy. They know that. So they know when they're in a situation where they feel something is serious and they need solid advice or support, they know which parent to go to. But they also know that when they just want to have fun or just relax and it's not, and the whatever it is not so much hardwired about safety or feeling secure, you might see them more going to the goofy parent or the parent that's not so reliable maybe as the other one. Now, when we look at trust, like, let's just look at trust from a general perspective, because at the end of the day, I know you're probably sitting there and you're thinking, well, Evette, trust kind of like involves maybe trust in love, trust in relationships, maybe friendships, maybe work dynamic. Now we also have trust in ourselves. Now we have all of these components. But guys, here's what's the important part, and that is what I really invite you to remember. Trust is almost like, imagine seeing trust as this foundational platform. And then we have all these beautiful plants that can grow from this foundational platform. Now, these other plants would, for example, now represent different types of trust. Of course, you're going to trust certain people less than others with maybe money or with relationships. Maybe you might trust one person more with money than what you trust them with relationships, but that same person, will show up for you and the other dynamic, and you'll 100% that, yes, I can trust them. So this is based on how we observe feedback from people's behavior, what they do and what they say, and how we store that, how we program that. And then based on that, we treat people in general based on it. Oh, wow, people can't really be trusted with money. Okay, but my best friend can. So we become a little bit more selective in terms of what we can trust and what we cannot trust. And guys, the art of trusting, that's now a whole new nut shebang also on its own, because we all feel trust in different ways, but we're going to be diving into that a little bit closer to the end, where I'll be talking you through a really powerful meditation and process to help you to dive deeper into your capacity to recognize when to trust and to maybe just, when to just take that step back a little bit as well. Now, remember, trust at the end of the day, trust is necessary to get resources and also benefits that we cannot find on our own. This is a different tangent to trust now as well. And I want to kind of like go more into the root causes as to why we don't trust, and also the reasons why we do need to trust as well. Because at the end of the day, when we want to achieve something, how do we do that successfully? We normally achieve more by working together and not necessarily by working alone. Now, when we, for example, let's use an example. When we look way, way back in time, when we look at our ancestors, when the world was still filled with a lot of dangers, there were a lot of threats, that means that life expectancy was so short, it was so limited, that our ancestors probably didn't really think a lot about the long term. They didn't think about, oh, one day when I have, that hut or that house or this land, or it was all about what's happening right now. And this hardwiring, right? This hardwiring, and I mean, this is not just because of maybe things that went wrong. This can also be because of maybe ailments starting and there was no resolution for it. There were predators around them that you can't really plan or predict when it might be your last day. Accidents can happen. They didn't have a lot of great hospitals like we do today. They don't have helicopters that can airlift in places where they can immediately get support and help. A lot of mothers would pass away also giving birth. So many things had the potential of going wrong, much more so than what we have right now. And this now actually means that because of that time, this has now left us, right, almost like occasionally disregarding long-term maybe relationships or disregarding long-term plans in favor of short-term gratification. That's why you see people who have issues with impatience. That's why. That is a hardcore ancestral wired program that is still running. And that tells you that the predisposition in them, right? Their life expectancy might have been very short. It could have been that they had a lot of trauma, a lot of stress that they had to deal with and overcome, where they maybe knew, I'm never going to have what I want. I'm never going to have what I need. I need to do it now. It all needs to take place now. A lot of people, for example, who's in a relationship where one person is monogamous and the other person agreed to be monogamous, but now they can't control themselves and they're not in something that's in alignment with them anymore. That is the biology in them feeling that if I don't have children, or if I don't, allow my genetics to be everywhere to ensure my future generations, that can create that sense of urgency, that sense of impatience that can come as well. So this is all purely focused on primal instinctive responses. And that is, at the end of the day, when you bring and funnel it all together, it's about survival. Now, when we look at, and this is now when we're still at the ancestries, right? So once our ancestors started to live in tribes, that's now when they started to realize and see the benefits of cooperation. And now it became clear that those, for example, who help others and then help those in return are actually better off in the long run. Now we can plan better because we trust that there's going to be some sort of support. We know that there's going to be some sort of something, whatever that something is that's important that we need, it will be fulfilled. See what I mean? Now, let's think of, for example, the last time when you decided whether to trust someone. Maybe you could have felt that in the gut area. Maybe you felt that in your stomach. Maybe you felt that in your heart beating. And there's a very good chance that you did, because we feel trust as much in our bodies that we feel it in our minds as well. And this is coming also from that hard wire of our ancestral predispositions, of our ancestral experiences as well. Because when we look at trust and the way that trust was showing up for ancestors, look, there was a lot of betrayal with communities. There was a lot of betrayal, of course, with land being, for example, being invaded and taken over, because we're still looking now at a tribal function where ego, where competitiveness was huge. It was tremendous. And often that impatience can sometimes override common logic, where they know, if I just, be a little bit more patient and work together with this community or work together with my family unit, together we can actually accomplish a lot more than what I can on my own in the here and now. But that fear of missing out, FOMO, that fear of dying if I don't get what I want, need, can be so strong that it can send that thought into your mind. And then that thought creates the feeling, the sensation, the biochemical response of wanting to take action. Your body's flooded with cortisol, everything that's needed in order for the body to act on the thought. Now the thought's not being acted on, and then it builds in anxiety, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And it reinforces and exasperates this feeling of desperation, this feeling of not getting what I want. And build up, that is what causes people to act out and betray people's trust. Well, at least that's my observation. That's how I see it. And I see it with people in my life as well. When I really look at their lives, their past, their history, I'm like, okay, now I get why you did what you did. Not that it's not an excuse, but at least it brings a feeling of understanding. And that's where we improve and build our emotional intelligence. I did a masterclass on that just a few weeks ago. Very important. Very, very important, especially when you do business. You'll see the most smartest businessmen, they know when to trust based on their patience and having developed a strong sense of emotional intelligence. Now, I also want to point out something here. When you, for example, look at humans and other social primates, like maybe the chimpanzees, right? So let's say they share something, which now is called a vagus nerve. I'm sure that you've all heard of it. Now, that is a key nerve that runs straight from the brain to the chest area. And when this area is activated, it has a very calming effect on the body, like our heart rate, on our lungs and our breathing. And it's only when this vagus nerve has now, for example, brought us enough calmness, right? Enough calmness to assert the body and the state to promote trust towards others. And also, our body uses hormones, for example, like oxytocin. Did you know that? It uses oxytocin to affect how much we trust others. This now means that our bonding and our connection with our mother, in my opinion, has a tremendously big role in our relationship and how much we trust in our lives. Our dynamic with her, that like the first year of our lives, greatly affects it. Even during birth and just before birth as well. Because oxytocin is also released when you're being born. Now, I strongly feel that how we trust in life and our first wiring is in association with oxytocin, and how that was formed between us and the mother as well. How we trust and how comfortable we feel when we're feeling comfortable. Guys, I hope that you're still with me there. I feel the internet is just a little bit wobbly, and if it is, I do apologize. But I'm going to keep going because I'm going to assume that you guys can hear me. It'll be great if you can send me an email and let me know. I have my emails open up here in front of me. I can see. Okay. So when this oxytocin is now released, of course, now you feel comfortable, right? And then you continue, for example, to be betrayed, maybe, meaning feeling betrayal in your environment. Now what can happen at such a young age is that you can start to subconsciously, through your senses, start to associate a negative relationship with oxytocin. That's why sometimes people can go, oh, every time when I feel this beautiful, calm feeling of, yeah, maybe I can trust, and oxytocin is now going, going, going. But then it triggers a cellular memory of like, oh, wait, when I did feel calm, when I did feel that I could trust someone, bump, something bad happened. And now sometimes something that's actually caused or actually made us to feel wired to trust that we can trust because of this hormone, we can actually flip the opposite and not trust it because of previous experiences. This is a very important point to also remember. And I want you guys just to kind of like take note of that, like just plant that seed in the back of your mind. Because something also funny here, the research that I found was where they showed a study that was done with monkeys, right? And they've shown here that they also hate unfairness. They hate betrayal because animals also have a very primal, instinctive trust bond with one another. And during one experiment, monkeys actually received food rewards each time when they completed a task. And they reacted really, really in a very angry way when they saw that another monkey was being rewarded with a food type that tasted the better for the same task. And now the unfairly treated monkey would refuse to accept the inferior reward or even now throw the food back at the people that they worked with, like almost like an absolute tantrum. So it begs the question or the statement that next time when you interact with someone, listen to your body. Do you feel tense or do you feel relaxed? But how do you react after that? How do you feel after that stressful response, or maybe you feel calm? Do you continue now to maybe feel distrust again? Does that calmness actually trigger suspicion? Or does it really truly allow you to feel, this feels okay? I'm going to go into this with discernment. Because I always tell people to never, ever just blindly trust. Trust with an open mind, trust with discernment, and trust with being fully in control of how you feel and the experience that you choose to have. That is my definition of trust. Because by just doing that, you're laying out the platform, like the foundation of what kind of experience you now choose to have as well. And to coming back to this trust fact that I tapped in earlier with children, remember, like experiments were also done with this. And it has actually shown that 6 to 10-month-old children, like babies, that they can differentiate the difference between who can be trusted and who cannot. Because in this experiment that was conducted, these babies were actually now shown, for example, a puppet show with 2 puppets. Now, there was a good one and then there was a bad one. And after watching the show, most infants preferred reaching out for the good puppet. Right? So from an evolutionary perspective, the trustworthiness of a potential, maybe now co-parent, is more important of that than anyone else. And that's what I also said to you earlier. Children have a fundamentally sensitive approach to who they can trust and who they cannot trust. And this was actually also shown in a recent study examining, right, trust, for example, in romantic relationships. For example, couples were now invited to first individually complete questions about trust. And then they would discuss, for example, a desired goal that would require major sacrifices from the other partner. And the recordings of the discussions actually revealed that individuals entering the discussion with more trust in their partners showed a much greater desire to collaborate and to compromise and to find a solution. And it was also, of course, found that the more that the trust, right, the one that the partner had in the other one, the more their partner's responses were appreciated as noble sacrifices. Now, what's also even more helping to sustain long-term relationships, and this is not just romantic, this is all types of relationships, is high levels of trust also supports our general well-being. And it actually, studies also show, they show that when there's, for example, like economic and like social, psychological and psychological benefits to being in a long-term relationship, a person is a lot more likely to be willing to trust. A lot more willing to trust. If they see that there is in a certain dynamic long-term benefits of their unmet needs being met. So you see, trust does not just build and become hardwired because people do good deeds or because people treat you well. Trust is a constant risk calculating factor that we take every single day. And that is because we have an expectation of something. If that expectation is not met in the way that we needed it to be met, it can actually register as a what? As a betrayal. It can actually be registered as a betrayal. And the reason for that is because we had a certain emotional outcome, a subconscious expectation of something taking place that we had an emotional attachment to. And that emotional attachment was motivated and driven by a certain lack that we have in our lives. And there was now maybe a positive outlook where attached to having this certain lack fulfilled in one way or another. But then maybe the person doesn't show up in the way that we need them to. Not because they don't care, maybe they don't have the capacity. And because we were so attached to having a certain experience that we didn't use our discernment thinking, does this person or this situation really have the capacity to give us what we want? Sometimes there can be such a great desperation. Yeah, let's call it desperation of having certain things come into your life or having certain things happen a certain way that we don't think this thing or this person or this dynamic that I'm investing in, maybe it doesn't have the fullest potential to help me to reach what I want. How do we know that? Here's your answer. Can this person or this situation, environment, or circumstances fulfill its own needs in the capacity that I need mine to be met? We have to stop expecting people giving us something that they themselves don't even have towards them. So if you're trying to trust someone who is constantly suspicious of everyone else, it means that they don't trust themselves. It's not just about other people, but they don't trust other people. And that's why people are treated with suspicion. Most likely people who don't even deserve it. But that's a defense mechanism. It's a coping strategy. Very important to take note of that as well. Because at the end of the day, trusting ourselves is the most important. Because you know that this is the foundation by which you build your relationships, how you connect with people, how you tune in with people, how you bond, how you create what you want and need, how you fulfill your goals. Everything is based on trust. Trust doesn't just involve people, it involves taking action. It involves maybe putting yourself in a certain situation where you have to take certain steps to accomplish something. Because at the end of the day, trusting yourself is a lot like trusting someone else. You're placing a bet on what the other person, right? The future you, meaning the other person's you, the future you is likely going to do. And experiments have actually shown that the future you, it's rarely predictable. It's rarely predictable. Now, trust also means that you make, for example, an assumption and you share and you return your values, right? To meet these values, And that as well is where betrayal can come in, because that was where our attachment comes into needing people to behave a certain way, and then they cannot. And now, Houston, we have a problem. Now, I'm very excited to be talking to you here a little bit more about trust, because I want to go into an exercise where we're going to be diving into your weaknesses, how to recognize how to trust in a healthier way, and also to clear a little bit old lack of trust patterns. For those of you now who's ready to join me for these exercises, let's take a nice deep breath. And now, I invite you, first of all, let's just bring our full focus, our full awareness to us, into the body, into the here and now. Because a lot of the time, the reason why our awareness, why our focus is scattered, is because our ability to trust our environment have been disrupted. You'll come to learn and know that the more you feel that you can trust yourself, the more focused you become. The safer you feel in your environment, that automatically promotes trust. And that means you're able to stay connected to you, your emotions, your ability to focus, and to deliver your goals and tasks much more accurately, with ease and with grace. You don't have that push-pull feeling and stress associated with it. Now, what I would love for you to stay connected to now is just your breath. Just stay connected to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and stay focused on your breath. Feel just how the air also your mouth or your nose as you inhale and as you exhale. Really fully bringing your full awareness to you. And now, hearing, feeling, seeing, and sensing a beautiful beam of light just flowing from your head, down your body, your shoulders, your back, your legs, out your face. Feeling how that energy, that light, that lightness is just releasing stress from your muscles, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your chest, your stomach, just feeling how parts of your body is just relaxing. Dropping your jaw, just let your jaw drop just a little bit and just relax. Feeling how that stress is just flowing out of your face, down into the earth, just down, 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 down. Just as you're feeling all that old tension and stress just releasing, just flowing out of you, feeling the absence of the burdens of these old emotions, which is now just leaving your body. Also acknowledging the difference between your identity and other people's stress. And feeling how their stress is also just draining out of your body, just down, 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 out your face. I invite you now to think back to the last time when you trusted someone, or you were in a situation where you needed to trust someone. How did it feel? Meaning that moment where you were thinking to yourself, should I or should I not trust this person? When you were looking for that biochemical feedback in your mind and also in your body. What was the response? Did you maybe feel a sensation in your heart, your gut, your stomach? Did you maybe just know that, no, I should not? Or yes, it was just so clear that it's okay. Really sit with that. Another way to ask you this to help you to find the answer is, what do you need to feel to know that you are trusting someone? What do you need to feel to know that you are trusting someone, or that you can trust someone? Now, wherever in your body, maybe you had a warning where it's like, maybe don't trust, or maybe investigate more. Wherever you felt a negative response, I now invite you to shift your full focus and awareness to that area that you feel it inside of your body. And if you don't know where, I invite you to pretend. You'll be surprised how accurate it is. Pretend that you know. And wherever it is that you're feeling perhaps that bit of stress or that warning signal, when you connect to that, I invite you now, shifting your full focus and awareness to that area. Whose face or voice do you hear, see, or sense that you know? Just boom, coming to mind very quickly. It might be yours, it might be someone else's. If it's yours, then it means this is your trauma. This patterning of maybe not constantly trusting, always feeling distrustful, is a pattern of your trust traumas. If it's someone else's, if you see someone else's face or voice, maybe you are expressing their old wounds in relationship to trust that was triggered in your life, combined with your trust betrayal stress. Either way, regardless of who this belongs to, I invite you now to hear, feel, see, or sense a beautiful beam of light flowing through this part or this area inside of your body where you feel this old stress. Bringing your full awareness to that area where you feel light. It's resolving and dissolving that old stress. Resolving and dissolving the old negative memories. Resolving and dissolving. Clearing the memories of old mistrust, knowing that you have caused the wiring of this lesson, but you no longer need the cellular stress and painful memories held in the emotional body. Releasing this emotional stress from every single cell in your body. Releasing, resolving and dissolving, feeling how it's just draining down, 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 down into the earth. It's almost like water flowing out of you. Releasing. Now then also just observing how your body is becoming lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Feeling how your body is expanding. Expanding in the absence of that old stress. Feeling how your cells are also just growing bigger. Feeling like there's more room to move and to breathe in your body. Where there was tension, there's now space. And I'm going to ask you a very important question now as well. When you are willing to trust, what is it that you need deep down within yourself? Because with this exercise, I want to help you to clear that vulnerability, that gullibility that is in you, that allows you or causes you to be taken advantage of. So let's start by healing and resolving the core unmet need that is driving your need to trust others, that's causing you to feel that the power or the unmet need or whatever it is that you want in your life is not in your hands, it's in someone else's or within other circumstances. And that is belief, that program is only there because you were convinced that it's not in you by someone or circumstances. So now, I'll ask you the question again. When you are willing to trust, what is it that you need deep down? What will the ability to trust allow you to feel in your life that you cannot feel without it? And the first answer that comes to mind is perfect. That effortless statement or answer or image or feeling, that is going to be the perfect answer. I'll ask the question again. When you are willing to trust, what is it that you need deep down in you? What will the ability to trust allow you to feel in your life that you cannot feel without it? Whatever that unmet need is, I invite you now to have fun with me. We're going to imagine, bring forward a ball of light. And if any of you are familiar with my work, especially from Intuitive Body Workshop, you will know the power of this exercise. And if you don't, I invite you to just try it. Have a beautiful ball of light in your hands. It could be any size. And give it a color. Have fun with it. A beautiful fluorescent ball of light. And imagine and hold this ball of light And imagine that it's being filled with this unmet need that you have. Say it's to feel safe or to love or to feel supported. Now this bowl is filling up with feeling safe or feeling loved or feeling supported, or it can be all of that and more. Feel how this bowl is then becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it's filling up with these beautiful emotional resources. And it normally works really well when you hold your hands up and you pretend that there's actually a ball in it. Because of the electromagnetic fields in your hands, it becomes activated, and now we're programming this space. And filling up that ball and bringing it towards your chest. And allowing those beautiful resources to flow through every single cell in your body, from head to toe. Feeling the shift, even though it's subtle. Feeling how those beautiful resources are just flowing through all those beautiful cells. Waking up the memory of what these emotional resources feel like within your biological makeup. And as you're holding that space, we're going to affirm positive affirmations together. And all that you have to do is listen to my voice. I call my power back from the times when my trust was betrayed. I call my power back from moments when I doubted myself. I reclaim my ability to trust from people who betrayed me in the past. I acknowledge the difference between my identity and my father's mistrust. I acknowledge the difference between my identity and my mother's mistrust. I acknowledge the difference between my identity and my ancestors' mistrust. Just feeling and allowing your sensory system to beautifully refine itself now in the highest and best way, in alignment with this beautiful healing that you started today. And for this to continue to integrate throughout the day and night, aligning you more and more and more to your definition of trust. And to allow yourself now to be more patient. Have more patience when you are in a situation that requires trust. And that any feelings of urgency is only coming from a place of lack. And through mindfulness exercises and practicing like we're doing right now, you can consciously control that old fear and see your life, people, and circumstances with absolute clarity. And recognizing now and in the future when you would like to trust someone or a situation. How do you feel? Does it feel positive? Does it feel negative? If it feels negative, Always connect to that part in your body and ask, do you have a face or a voice or a message for me right now? And shift your full focus and awareness to that area of your body and let it speak. That will be your guidance. And I would love to end this beautiful process with you with the alpha brainwave state to reset the nervous system, the vagus nerve, the amygdala, so that you can move forward from this, from a balanced platform. And we'll be breathing in the mouth, out the nose, 13 times, but deep breaths. And you might start to feel a little bit dizzy closer to the end. If you do, it might be a good idea to lie down. And let's start. Breathe in the mouth, out the nose, 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 in the mouth, out the nose. And pick up the pace in the mouth, out the nose, in the mouth, out the nose. Last breath and hold in the mouth. Hold it as long as you can. Dropping into that dizziness, dropping into that stillness that's coming forward. Feeling that divine stillness. And knowing that this is a wonderful exercise to also do in future. If you feel stressed, whether you can or cannot trust, breathe in the mouth and out the nose 13 times. And then when you reach that place of calmness and stillness, ask yourself about the question that you have again, maybe about the person, situation, or goal or circumstances. Should I or shouldn't I? And then see how your body reacts. And when you're ready, just slowly starting to feel the surface beneath your body. Becoming aware of your environment around you. So just following my voice back into the room, into the here and now. And welcome back. Guys, there you have it. Your healing journey is starting to learn how to rebuild trust, not just in others, but first and foremost in you. Thank you for your love, your time, and your energy. I love you guys. And until next time, be the light that you are.